So it's Friday. Happy Friday, you guys. If you hear stuff outside, it's because it kind of looks like a mini hurricane. Like the clouds are very ominous and it's looking deceptively like bright here on camera, but outside just looking kind of scary. You need to stay inside. So that's, I guess, something that I haven't really come to terms with living in the South. Like the sky never looked so like angry in other places as often, so maybe I just gotta get used to these types of storms instead of like snowstorms. But anyways, so if you hear stuff banging around, it's just like my poor little pillow from like my outside patio stuff like flopping around on the porch. I'll go pick it up after. But I don't really have like a giant theme for this video this week because I didn't really work on one particular thing. I worked on a bunch of my things that I've been working on, and it was mostly like career related. And I worked on a lot of my project stuff and I got a ton of stuff done, and it's pushing me like creatively, and it's pushing me like time management wise, because I don't know about you, but I can make like a task stretch out as like long as I want, right? Like when it's I own my own time, I can make my work day as little or as much as I want to. And in order to feel like I'm doing something, I used to fall into this trap of like making my reselling work, my tasks that I have to do for my reselling, I would make it last like 5 to 7, 8 hours, so that I felt like I was doing a regular normal job. But now that I'm adding like another full-time project into the mix, I'm seeing that like I could have been way more efficient the whole friggin' time, and like just by cutting out all of, like the little things, like I would pick up my phone and be like, oh, what's this thing on Pinterest? Or oh, this thing was tagged on like Instagram because like my friend did that, and like I should go look at it and like say something funny back, or like whatever. There was no time for that when it came to this week. There was like a little bit of time, but mostly it was like kind of, I have this deadline in my head of getting this thing for my project done by the end of the month, and I'm just like staying up late and like working on it. And it's kind of fun because as not fun or as fun as dating is, it was kind of like my second project. Like I'm a little bit bored from being a reseller for like 8 years, and when you don't really make a ton of money, like you don't get that dopamine hit anymore, right? So like my life was, I had to like make it a little bit more interesting and get my dopamine fix somewhere by like, you know, dating almost as a second job, like interacting with a bunch of people, having decent conversations, going on some dates, like just experiencing that was like my kind of job that I used as, you know, fulfilling more time and space and energy into something that I thought was worthwhile instead of just doing my tasks. Like, yes, I still want to do that, but I've found something else that like is taking up like where my creative energy lacked in my regular day job, like my reselling work. And like that you can be as like creative as you want as far as a reseller, but there's a lot of like behind the scenes stuff that's really freaking boring. Like the actual input of like how to sell things is really boring. So this, for the first time, I'm using a lot of tools and knowledge and skills that I have, but I'm putting it into a project that is, it like uses them in a really interesting creative way, and I'm being fulfilled by it, and I'm just like really excited. At that point, I realized that I don't know how to say this really in a way that makes any sense, but it's not like I was chasing drama with my dating life, but I was trying to be entertained because my creative energy was not being used. And so like I would talk with people that maybe like wasn't the best, or like I would entertain more things that I should probably just let go of, or you know what I mean? Like I would put energy into the people because I had time to give it. And then I found that this week, when I was putting time into talking with people, dating wise or whatever, I was super selective, and like if they weren't it, they weren't it. Because like I was already bucket filled with my creative energy. I didn't need them for that, right? So like I found that like when I'm fulfilled, that I have pretty high standards, and like I let in people still, but like I'm not trying to just pick people to entertain me anymore. It's like a whole different vibe. It's like a whole different strategy. And I didn't really realize that I was just being not fulfilled with my like work life. I didn't really realize that at all. I was being fulfilled like creatively and like conversationally with like my friends. I always have really interesting conversations with my friends. They always leave me like thought-provoked or fulfilled or just like heartful, and just like I feel seen. But when it comes to like interacting romantically with people, or potentially romantically with people, like I needed more of a game with them, because I found the whole thing really boring. Like it followed a very like predictable pattern of, we'll talk for a little while, we'll send back each other some messages, and then we'll pretend that we're gonna go on a date, but then we don't really get to the date, and then the date happens, like the day of the date happens, and then maybe both of you don't really say anything about that day, if you're going to confirm or not, you know what I mean? Like it just kind of like falls to the wayside, and sometimes it's like a waste of time. So when I didn't have this thing that was like creatively fulfilling me, like in my second job endeavors or whatever, I don't even know what to call it. It's my project that I like do. It's like a full-time project though. So I was like, the time that I was giving to like the date people like this week was much less. But it was much less. On a side note, I was shadow banned from Tinder. I only realized that I was shadow banned 2 weeks into my shadow banning. And you're like, what the hell does that even mean? Well, that means that my matches don't even see that I'm matched with them anymore. I could type to them and it would show me on my side that I typed to them. It would show them that there's nothing to even match with or to talk with. I'm not even there anymore. And the only reason I know that is because I got unshadow banned. I contacted Tinder, and I asked them, like, my matches that I saw on my side, like all of a sudden I was rematched with them on their side. I came up as a new match, but for me, nothing had really happened. Like it didn't even show me that anything really happened. I just thought they were abnormally quiet. And so anyways, I was shadow banned because they didn't say this to me, and they didn't even confirm that I was shadow banned, but like I think just Googling like the symptoms of my Tinder account, like people didn't talk back with me. I wasn't getting any new matches, and when I would open my app to see if there was new people in my card deck, they would be like, you were not the location that I was at, there would be no new people to sort through. And like, that's kind of impossible. So anyways, those were like the symptoms of my account, where I was like, something weird is going on my side. For like a week or two, I thought like they were just quiet, and I was kind of bummed, but I thought it was just kind of because they were quiet. So once I realized that I was shadow banned, I contacted Tinder, and I got shadow banned because around that same time I put a VPN on my phone. And so apparently that is risky moves. And it can wreak havoc on your life. And before I knew that, like, it could get as far as your dating life with Tinder. Bit of a hyperbole there, but like, if that's the way that you like to meet people or whatever, it can kind of like put a little damper on things. So I thought I might mention that did happen. So I contacted them, they fixed it once, I put the VPN back on because I didn't really realize that it was the VPN thing at that point. I had it off for like a little bit, they fixed it, and then I put it back on and my shadow banning came back on. And because I realized that like my matches were not seeing my stuff anymore. The messages that I had sent in between time were gone on my side even. So anyways, I contacted them again and I was like, hey, can you please fix this one more time? And then I kept my VPN off. So anyways, that was happening. But when I actually got through to them, once I was no longer shadow banned, I had this weird kind of like epiphany. Before I knew that the shadow ban was going to be fixed. I was like, Michelle, maybe this is a sign that you should just probably get really good at meeting people in person. And you know, like it's easier. There's like lots of pros and cons for using online dating, right? But like maybe you should try like a whole new tactic. And it's not really whole new. Like I was sort of trying it out before. Like starting my projects, like I was starting to get into going on self dates, like taking myself out to dinner every Friday somewhere new and just trying to see if I can meet people organically. So like I'd done a little bit of that before. I started my projects that took up a lot more of my time, and then I wanted to give a lot more of my time, but also in that epiphany of like I should probably, you know, have a different strategy. I was like, well, if Tinder's gone, Hinge around here doesn't really equal any sort of good. I had Hinge for like, I don't know, 7 months or so. Cause it's like, well, if you just shadow banned on like Tinder, just go get a different like app. Well, the different apps, I was on Tinder because the people around here are on Tinder. Like we've already established that when I first moved here. So like that's not really an option. The only feasible option at that point was to like admit defeat with the online dating thing and to just get better at, you know, meeting people in person organically, seeing where that goes. The other option is to just give up altogether, which is an option, but I wanted to keep the dating thing going and I wanted to push myself because I didn't want to just fall into a trap of like, okay, I'm just doing my work now. Like I did that for a long time, as I've mentioned before. I was like, okay, you're shadow banned, you have less time, you're looking for different things now, you might want a different strategy. And so it was all like adjusting to what was happening, but also realizing that like part of why I was chasing these people was because I was like just not fulfilled with like what I was doing with my time, and I was trying to be like entertained, where maybe you're not necessarily supposed to be entertained like that, but like my entertainment curiosity led me down some paths where I didn't really like need to go down. And so like this time when I was re-emerging from my shadow ban, I no longer had FOMO. I like talked to the people I wasn't supposed to talk to. I had dates with some of those people. Like I have experienced enough of those things to just realize that like I don't have FOMO about certain people, certain personality types, certain characteristics of people. Like it's just boring for me now and it's not appealing, and like I don't have it as like this thing in my head where I really wish that I could have just experienced a bad boy, or I really wish I could have just experienced like some player like liking me, or you know, like that. I'm just kind of like picking out of a hat, like, you know, what I would maybe consider like a bad idea now. You know, I really didn't have much in common with them, but I would have such FOMO of what could happen with them because I didn't have a lot of experience dating. I didn't like, cause I couldn't predict the end result because I didn't have enough experience with end results. So now I have experience with end results, and like very rarely do people deviate from this. So like I don't have FOMO anymore. And so like that's kind of great for me. I don't know particularly like what is going to do it for me, but I know what's not. I know what's not. And I thought that was interesting, an interesting way of like coming to that conclusion. And it was just because like I was finally fulfilled with like my creative thing, or like at least interested in what I was doing for most of my day. And then when I would interact with these people, I was like, why am I doing this? This is stupid. It's just that I'm shifting how I'm looking at what this provides me. And you might be thinking, well, like dating should provide you with like standard things that don't really shift. Well, for me, it is. Like for me, it is. And it's happening right in front of me, and I'm going to recognize that, and I'm going to shift. So I don't really need to be entertained by the weirdest of people or the most fringe of people, or yeah, just people who are be like mentally challenging. Like I still like that, but like I want to add an element of like, I want them to be fun, and I want them to be like potentially good people to like add into my life for like a, you know, a long-term situation. So that's a different strategy than just trying to like be entertained because you're slightly under stimulated by what you're doing with yourself. So once I realized that, I was like, oh, okay, things are a little bit more clear. I don't really know how to like get what I need from other people dating wise yet. As I said, it's like a little bit tricky, but I guess that's just the process. Like I keep looking outside, and I'm sorry, I'm very distracted. I keep looking outside because like my poor fern is like going crazy outside. And like I have like herbs out there, because I wanted to show you. I make like I take like a stem of basil, and then I take a stem of mint. And when I guess when you pick it like this, like not by like the leaf, by like the clump or whatever, it gives the plant more time to grow bushily instead of like straight up. Like I used to just take like one little, I don't know why we're going on this side tangent, but I used to like take just like one little leaf and think that that was like, you know, better. But I like either watched like a gardening YouTube video, or like I saw somewhere that if you take like a clump like that, it will grow like more like bushy instead of just straight up. So yeah, so instead of beer or some sort of cocktail, I have been drinking basil mint water. So a lot of this week was like learning my time management of how to put together my day job, and then to sometimes try to fit time in for my friends and my family and like all this other stuff. I thought about like a lot of how to make this year purposeful. That was like a big thing for me. I was like, I don't want to just have like a whatever year. Like I don't want to have specific goals, but I want to work towards a purpose. Like I feel like if I do that, then I can stay on task. And fortunately for me, a lot of the time I have such debilitating fatigue that like it makes reaching that pretty hard. Like yesterday, I couldn't really do too much physically because I was just so fatigued, and I was pretty bummed about it. But I was like, okay, if I just work really hard on the days that I feel good and like use them to like the best of my ability, then I can actually get to an end result of something that I actually really want to do. So I think I told you this. At the end of this, like I want to use the money that I'm working on my side projects and I'm working on my reselling. I want to like build towards a nest egg where I can make my own luxury leather goods company, and I want to create handbags, and I want to create small leather goods that uses really amazing materials with like a high-end customer in mind, and it's very bespoke, and it's very just elegant, I think, and uses like sustainable practices and stuff like that. Like that's kind of like what I want to work towards. But like I need time in order to gather my nest egg, and I need time in order to like shift my focus, because I can see how like, yeah, this was fun to do like my reselling for like a while, but like it's not fun. Like I think I'm kind of like, I needed to like gain the skills for like my next thing, and I'm ready for my next thing. Like it was never like gonna be like my full-time forever, but I think I'm ready to move on. And I think people in like regular jobs would probably do that too. I'm ready for another level of risk, and so I'm working towards having a nest egg and having the skills of building that kind of brand for later. I already have the name of it, and I already have like the aesthetic of it. I obviously don't have any skills as far as leather making or whatever. Like I think I've watched a bunch of YouTube channels of there's a couple good ones that I really love that are very creative, that are like amazing. But I really want to learn my craft because I have genuine interest, not because I think this is going to be a moneymaker, or like, I think like I've always kind of wanted to do this. I've always like, everything I'm kind of interested in would apex towards this thing. My reselling has made me have a love of stuff that lasts. Like I'm drawn to high quality, well-made things that last a long time, that people take care of or pass down or something like that. Like I'm really interested in that, and I'm really interested in what gets people interested in brands and what makes people interested in spending their money on certain things that they find that holds value. Like I'm really interested in that. I am not delusional in the sense that like I would have to learn how to do this, and I think the learning process would just be really fun. Like I'm already a creative person, and I'm already like kind of artistic, and so I'm not afraid to just start simply and small, and to like have like some core products that I just kind of learn how to do things on. Like maybe I'll just like learn how to make men's wallets and just specialize in that, and just see how they wear, give them to my dad, give them to like my dude friends, right? And like see how they wear over time, and see if I can implement some other type of design into something slightly bigger that would be more like towards a woman's purse. Like I don't even really like purses. I just like the idea of creating a leather good that incorporates a bunch of creative, bespoke, sustainable, high-end stuff. Like I just think that is cool. So as far as what my life looks like for this next year, I want to work on that. I want to work on building my nest egg and my skills behind the scenes. And I want to explore what it would be like to have this project. And I think that this project would be kind of like my final project, as far as my final stage of like getting to where I want to be in a career. To have that, and to have it be even mildly successful, even just like locally, would like fulfill me to like no end, right? So I would be super excited if I could create something that was of good quality. And I'm not trying to be Kate Spade, and I'm not trying to compete with like Prada, right? Like I'm just trying to do my own thing, but I don't really know how to describe how like cool that would be for me. So that is what I'm working towards. So in my mind, like I'm trying to work towards a something. And so all of this, what I'm doing right now, and all of this, what I'm doing for future, is like for a purpose. So I think if I just stay on the path of purposeful, like whatever my path will be really fun. And so right now I am doing things that doesn't seem like I would, you know, it has anything to do with my end goals, but like I think it really does. As I said, like I think like the reselling has prepared me for this. Like I've learned how to take apart things because I got things for really cheap, right? And I just took them apart to see like how they were made. Or maybe I had to fix a Coach bag, like that was from like the early 80s or something, right? Like that I had found, and I had to fix it, and I just, you know, saw what components were made of a well-made bag. Or I learned how to, you know, repurpose stuff, or, you know, take off different elements of something to make it brand new for something else. So like reselling was really integral into learning all the things that I think that I should take with me to this new adventure that like I admittedly have like zero experience with. Like I didn't go to art school. Like I don't sit around here and like draw concepts of like bags. Like I'm not even trendy. Like honestly, I'm not even trendy. I don't know what the trends are, but I know some core things about like what is quality. And I've seen so many things thrown back at the thrift store or donated back at the thrift store that ends up in the bins or ends up somewhere that wherever I'm trying to find stuff to sell. Like I've seen so many things like where like this, like the bag went wrong. Like maybe it wasn't reinforced in the corners, or maybe like, and so like the ends of the corners of the bags always have wear, right? Like, and so if my idea of how to create a different type of company that like sees things from a different angle, I've seen it already where it went wrong. Like when you cut corners actually, and like you don't put any money into like your materials, or like the construction is really bad. Like I understand profit and loss, but I'm just like, I really want something that lasts, that doesn't add to like the landfill. Like I'm not trying to make quick bucks. I'm trying to make something that's kind of an artsy thing. And I want to contribute to that fashion world with something that I find that would be aesthetically beautiful but also would last a long time. You know, like those are the things that I care about. But I've seen it where it went wrong, like because I've seen so many like times where like people didn't care about that. So I think that that's why my reselling has like led me to here. So I think that that is what I wanted to focus on this week. It was like finding out that I'm really not as bored as I think I am anymore. Like I'm never bored, but you know what I mean? Like I'm not so bored that I'm chasing down the wrong people anymore. Like I feel like I'm finally getting like my focus on my purpose correct. And maybe that will help me get along, you know, in my dating life a little bit better. If like I'm focused in general with like my rest of my life, like that focus will spill over into my dating life, and I will use dating in more of a purposeful way instead of just I'm trying to not be stimulated by things that I shouldn't be. But I do think that I had to go through the process of learning how to resell, learning how to take care of things, learning what people even like spend their money on when they have a bunch of money. Like what are the things that people care about when they're like, because the price point of my bag would be pretty like expensive. So like I've been learning that for years. I've been learning like what goes wrong with bags for years. Like I'm putting all of this into my head of reasons why it's a good transition for me. I've never talked about this so publicly, and I've never talked about it like to anybody. So like, this is why I want to do it, and these are my thoughts about it. So thanks for listening to it. Thanks for listening to like my brain dump about it. But I'm here because I've gained enough experience. And I thought the FOMO thing was like pretty important to tell you about, because I've gained like a piece in my like dating life at the same time too, because I didn't deny myself the chasing down of the things that I thought were gonna be kind of exciting. Like I chased them down, they're not that exciting to me. It just says it's gonna rain. Yeah, it does look like it's gonna rain. So I thought expressing the FOMO thing was important in this video, but also expressing that I think that I've learned enough takeaway things from the things that don't seem related to my next big endeavor. And that is what I'm working towards for this year. Just building my nest egg, just trying to do all that and to gain enough experience. And like basic skills can like be learned. Like obviously like creating a work of art with like a leather bag like takes time, right? So like I'm gonna have to devote time and energy into learning like the basic skills of like the creation. But I think everything essentially is all about like how comfortable and how confident you feel in what you're doing. And so I guess I'm trying to explain to you, this is a totally new endeavor which I don't have the skill to create yet, but I have like the confidence in myself that in the back of my mind I can do this because of such and such and such a reason. That doesn't seem like it would go, but to me it does. And maybe if you have something that you really want to go for, like it doesn't just have to be so like, oh, you have skills in sewing, so you can probably, you know, transition to making dresses if you want to. Like maybe you have like skills in creating something in what's that engineering program, CAD. Maybe you have like, you can create 3D awesome things, and like, you know, maybe you're really freaking good at that from like your day job, but you also want to be really creative. And so maybe you are going to design dresses in a 3D way because of CAD, like, right? Like it doesn't always have to be you're good at this, you should be good at that. Like it can be kind of weird like this. Weird relative term, but you know what I mean? So I just wanted to talk about that for like a little bit because I was feeling pretty good about that as far as like my goals for this year, my goals for what I'm doing, and to like have a direction. I think that's really important for people like myself, but I think it's important for people in general to like know what you're doing with your time and to like enjoy your journey while you're, you know, on it. So this year I'm going to continue to build my nest egg, like I said, but also to kind of learn how to transition somewhere to like adding more people into my life that are purposeful, but my purpose for them is now much more clear than it was before. And like actually I thought that the purpose for them was pretty clear before, but like now it's super clear because I'm not convincing myself that I'm trying to be with them for like a different reason that I'm trying to be with them, if that makes any sense. So I just wanted to talk to you guys about that because I felt it was kind of like good like energy, like just kind of like this is what I thought about, and I just wanted to share that with you. So I hope this video finds you well, and I hope that you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you guys next week. Take care.